Bryanetic Sports. My name is Brian. Hopefully, you are enjoying your day, a beautiful day, and we believe that it is an honor for you to be part of this interesting show. I have to remind you that wherever you come to this show and it's your first time for you to watch Bryanetic Sports, all you just need to do is just go all the way and subscribe, share, as well as comment to give us that kind of feedback that we really need. There's been a lot of fights that are in there on social media, especially to do with the countries Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, and it's all to do with facilities. I'll be, of course, having a discussion about that and sharing a video of my views of what I really want to say, especially when it comes to the fight between Ugandans and Kenyans in there. But today we are going to be talking about some stuff that came from the local media this previous week and talk over Namboole National Stadium changing and converting its playing surface from the natural grass that we all know and are used to hybrid grass. And of course, I'm going to be explaining what a really hybrid grass is and what are the benefits of us having such a surface, especially in a very big stadium and in an important stadium like Namboole National Stadium. And we've had, of course, cases of where this surface has been installed. It's a reinforced natural grass kind of method that gives this grass that you already have a little bit of an extra edge, and it is more of there are three ways of doing this interesting system, and it is used commonly in pitches for American football, rugby, and all the other types of fields that are used for the different sports discipline. But what happens is that there is a surface of natural grass, but in that natural grass, they put in artificial grass for it to blend all together. And the roots of the natural grass grow within the woven carpet, and it gives it two layers. And it's very so instrumental that when you see how it's done, and you're going to be seeing the animation of how it's done and what are the purposes. First of all, of course, the usual way of developing the surface is done just like you saw in Manila National Stadium. They first did the groundwork, they dug the water channels, they put the concrete, they put the sand and all the other stuff, and then they even put the seeds of how this grass is going to be growing. The seeds were provided, but what happens in this case is that they put a surface that is always a carpet, and then in that carpet, which is artificial grass, they insert into the seeds of course, of the natural grass. They fertilize it, they give it the water, and when it starts growing, it starts, blending the carpet with the grass. Now, usually, what happens is that you will notice and ask yourself. Usually, surface in Africa here. I think one of the clear examples is the Maholo Stadium that has recently been completed in Rwanda. That stadium, the national stadium of Rwanda, Maholo Stadium, has a hybrid kind of surface, and it is more of a 70% or 80% of the surface is artificial, and then the smaller percentage is always natural grass. But what happens is that the grass grows taller than the artificial surface. So you'll notice that you'll see people trimming that grass with machines, and then you'll say, what are they trimming on? If it at all, it's part of it is artificial. But what happens is that they let the natural grass grow a little bit taller. So whenever they are trying to trim, they trim that grass. They always have measurements of the level of what kind of cutters they might have in the machine. So they cut off those, exceeding parts of the natural grass. So it keeps it a little bit more firmer. It keeps it a little bit more proportional. And it's something that has been happening ever since the 1990s. In fact, when you see the first generation appeared in the 1990s, and we have three main methods that exist. Like I told you, first they inject the fibers in the sand with the turfing machine. Then the other second method is the mix of fibers, coke as well as sand, and it's automated plant. And of course, it's kind of like installs everything into the pitch. And of course, if you've been following this kind of surfaces, one of the few companies, I think it was a laboratory all the way in the arts, 8 Meter Paris Tech. It's one of the labs all the way in France that first initiated the idea. They've done a lot of research. They are well known for industrial development and ideas that they've really passed on. It's one of the few things that have. It's an institute all the way in France, and it has done research. It has done a lot of installments when it comes to such facilities. So it is known for that. It's one of the few that initiated that. Then the third one is the method is they put a carpet or a mat with woven or tuft fibers on the surface, and then to brush the sand and the sand mixes to keep the fibers all the way upright, which is also another method that is always used. And of course, there are a lot of companies that do that, but we've also seen installation in some of the big stadiums in the world that you all know. We've seen it in the Emirates Stadium. We've seen it in the Old Trafford Stadium. We've seen it at the Camp Nou. And like I told you here in the Mahoro Stadium. And there are a lot of companies that do it. And Grass is one of the few companies that do it. And when you see the benefits of this hybrid grass, it will really, really give you a lot of goosebumps. And you notice that the grass can live without fading for over 8 or 10 years. For them to really do an reinstallation or to do a reamendment of anything, it can take over 8 or 9 years. Perfect, doing everything very well, and even the hours that you use on the pitch. Usually, when give an example, if you've been using the pitch for example, for 10 hours maximum, what hybrid grass gives you, it doubles that kind of time that you have. In fact, it even triples and triples. For example, if you have 10 hours, it will give you something like 40 hours or 50 hours over that grass. And the other thing about it, you can have two consecutive matches in the same period, which cannot happen to the natural grass because it erodes. You will see patches everywhere, but the difference is that in hybrid grass, you'll have the surfaces that you would think would be patches will be replaced by artificial grass. So whenever the natural grass kind of like erodes, it is eroded to a limit whereby it is mixed with artificial grass. So just like you're trimming your hair and your natural, the artificial hair is here and the natural hair is here. Whenever it erodes and it gets to this level, it mixes up with the artificial grass. So that means the surface looks the same. It doesn't look eroded, and it is used for more and more games. And the reason why Namboole is trying to do this is because, like I told you, this grass is very good for multi-purpose. Like I told you in the last video, multi-purpose usage. You can use it for rugby, you can use it for tennis, you can even use it for concerts. For example, if you want people to use the grass without having issues to do with spoiling the surface, because usually the artificial grass will always be there, then the natural grass will always have the issues. But it's easier for it to really come back because it's not eroded to the level whereby it becomes the sand is exposed or the surface is exposed. So it can be used for a lot of purposes, and that is why you see with the period that we are getting into as a country, we are really looking at having multiple games. We are having tournaments whereby you'll have 2 or 3 games in the same day at the same stadium. So you need to be very careful which kind of surface you use. And the other thing is maybe the cost of maintenance might be a little bit more higher. A lot of people, we talk about us not managing these stadiums, but still, when you see in the long run, the cost of maintaining such stadiums are a little bit cheaper than natural grass. Natural grass needs daily and I don't know, not even daily, but hourly management. And then when you have things like vices, because even this grass is affected by viruses and all the other things, bacteria. So if you have a bacteria come into your stadium and it eats up the grass, then you're going to be having issues to do with the surface. So there are a lot of things that you can run away if you have hybrid grass, and I think this is what we are trying to look at, and this is where we are trying to really go as a nation. And of course, the other thing is that I've told you about long hours. I've told you about the large span of 8 to 10 years. The stability as well. When you look at the surfaces and how they usually measure the surface by how the bounce of the ball is and how even if someone slides in a tackle, how do they really face it, injuries and all that stuff. So usually this surface has all that measured, and in surfaces where it has been used, it has really, really been very beneficial. The rate of injuries are less. And then the other thing is that the bounce of the ball and also things to do with the heavy rains do not affect the stadium. So that is why you see even in a rainy season when it's heavy rain and the game is going on, you don't see issues with the ball having, water logging, with the pitch having water logging and all that stuff. It's only on natural pitches that you'll have water logging and all that stuff. But on artificial or hybrid grass, you'll see that the water channels are already, in there. The drainage is always worked on very comfortably. So it is something that is really, really very systematic, and I really believe that we will really enjoy if at all it's installed in Namboole. And the period of installation might take something like 7 days, but the whole process of really converting the stadium might take something like 2 to 3 weeks. And in Uganda here, it will depend on the financial muscle of the government, because if at all the finance is not there, then we will not have something that really works out in a small record time. But these are the changes that we are seeing in our game. Of course, it's going to be a serious expense. It's going to be over 1.5 or 1.6 billion that will be required for this surface to really be, implemented. But it is for the best. So let us embrace it. And I really want to see that kind of technology taken on even in stadiums outside Kampala, because that is even a little bit more easier, because those will not even have the kind of maintenance that we have in Namboole. So really we need such something that can work for us. We've seen our neighbors Rwanda doing it. We are waiting to see which kind of surfaces Kenya and Tanzania will be looking at, but all is looking very comfortable. That is what we have for you, and we believe that we'll be giving another update, but we're waiting to see when the installation will be beginning. So this is Bionetic Sports. My name is Brian. See you next time for another video, another type of content. God bless you. Bye-bye.